Heat filled the summer air in downtown Chicago as laughter and music spilled from Artis Lounge. Inside, guests gathered for a special night, the release party for local rapper Mello Buckz's new album. Outfits were chosen carefully, phones were out for photos, and the vibe was lively and young. Friends reunited, strangers became part of the same celebration, and the night felt like it had only good memories to offer. Yet hidden beyond the smiles and dancing, something dark was about to unfold. Around 1:45 a.m., as the crowd began to thin and people moved outside, a car rolled down the street. No one paid it much attention. Conversations continued, goodbyes were shared, and music still echoed faintly from inside. Without warning, the vehicle's windows came down, and in seconds, gunfire cut through the calm. Screams replaced laughter. Panic took over as bullets struck people who had been standing together just moments earlier. 4 young lives ended that night. Taylor Walker, only 26, was killed. Aviance Drexler, 27, was fatally shot. Leon Henry, age 25, lost his life too. And 24-year-old Devonte Williamson didn't make it home. Alongside them, 14 others suffered injuries, some serious. What had begun as a night to celebrate music became a nightmare marked by sirens, flashing lights, and grief. Police rushed to the scene as emergency responders tried to help the wounded. But the shooters were gone, leaving devastation behind. Why had this happened? Who was the real target? Or was this just an act of random, senseless violence? Investigators were left searching for answers.
Hey there, Lisa. We have confirmed with Chicago police exactly what you just said. 18 people shot, 4 people dead after this incident that happened here outside of a restaurant lounge on Chicago Avenue. And as I step out of the way, you can see exactly where this is located, very close to Franklin near the L stop. And right now, all you can see, all that's left is the red carpet that was outside of the establishment for a party that took place last night here for a local female rapper. Now, video shows a chaotic scene moments after the shooting took place, with police on the scene and people trying to get help for their friends and loved ones. Chicago police confirmed that around 11 p.m., someone started shooting from a dark-colored vehicle towards the crowds that were outside, again, for this party that was for rapper Mello Buckzz. She is a local rapper here, and she posted on social media that her boyfriend and a friend were shot. We have confirmed with the mayor's office of community safety that the rapper's boyfriend and best friend both passed away. Now, here's how people in the neighborhood near the scene reacted, seeing victims in need of help.
The gunfire, and then the next thing you know is a whole bunch of police officers driving by fast, ambulance, fire, rescue.
Traumatized, and I'm just shocked. Now, overnight, families have been gathering at local hospitals, including Northwestern, where there's also a chaotic scene as family and friends try to get more information about their loved ones. We know that 13 women were shot, 5 men were shot, and as we said, 4 have died from their injuries.
I do look ugly. What? The bullet went in right there, and it came out. And I got a bullet in my...
Before we continue, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more stories like this from True Crimes Venue. Share your thoughts below. Where are you watching from? Your voice matters because these are real people, real tragedies, and real lessons that shouldn't be ignored. Share this video. It could save a life. Welcome to True Crimes Venue, where we explore chilling true crime cases, mysteries, and stories that go beyond the headlines. Let's uncover what happened together. Downtown Chicago is alive long after dark. Bright lights, crowded sidewalks, and places like Artis Lounge keep the city moving. That night, July 1st, 2025, felt no different at first. Flyers for Mello Buckz's party had spread fast, and people showed up ready for music and celebration. Groups posed for photos outside, eager to capture the memory. Inside, the dance floor filled quickly, and the bass from the speakers could be felt through the walls. Events like this bring communities together. They're meant to be safe spaces for artists and fans, nights to step away from daily stress and just enjoy the music. As the evening went on, more guests arrived. The lounge was crowded, full of energy and laughter. Friends danced shoulder to shoulder, while others stepped out to cool off or talk near the entrance. Yet as people gathered near the sidewalks, danger moved closer. A dark car eased along the street, barely noticed among other vehicles. In those moments, no one could have imagined the horror that would follow. The final songs played. People slowly made their way outside, still smiling and chatting. Some glanced at their phones, others waved to passing cars. Then the sound of gunshots exploded into the night. Panic took hold immediately. Guests ducked behind cars, some dropped to the ground, and others ran without knowing where to go. Shouts and cries mixed with the ringing in people's ears. What took seconds felt like forever. In the aftermath, 4 young people lay fatally wounded. Taylor Walker had been building a name as a hairstylist, known not just for her skill, but for her kindness. She dreamed of running her own salon. Her clients loved the confidence she brought them, and her friends described her as someone whose smile could change the mood in any room. Aviance Drexler, 27, was deeply loved for her steady presence and warm heart. Family meant everything to her, and she was the one people turned to when they needed help or advice. Her life was calm and focused, and she stayed far from trouble. Leon Henry, at 25, brought quiet strength to those around him. He spoke little, but thought deeply. Weekends often meant sports games with friends, not loud parties. He worked hard, stayed focused on his goals, and found joy in simple, peaceful moments. Then there was Devonte Williamson, just 24, known for his humor and energy. His friends say he had the rare gift of making anyone laugh, even on the worst day. Online, he shared videos dancing or joking, and offline he supported those he cared about. His personality filled every space he entered. All 4 had different dreams and paths, but each was lost in a moment no one could have predicted. Their families and friends were left with questions impossible to answer. Why them? What had they done besides show up to support music and community? Police worked quickly, speaking with witnesses and gathering evidence. Surveillance cameras were reviewed, but the gunman had already escaped. No clear motive was shared. Rumors spread. Was it revenge, a mistaken identity, or simply hate given a trigger? Official answers remained few. While investigators searched for clues, the city mourned. Social media filled with tributes, photos, memories, and heartbreak. Friends and strangers alike shared stories of Taylor's warmth, Aviance's kindness, Leon's calm, and Devonte's energy. News outlets reported on the shooting, but for those who loved them, they were more than victims. They were people with laughter, plans, and love. Outside Artis Lounge, candles and flowers began to appear where sirens had blared hours before. People gathered in silence, some whispering prayers, others still too shocked to speak. The scene, once full of music, had turned into a reminder of how fragile life can be. The impact rippled far beyond that sidewalk. Families were left planning funerals they should never have had to imagine. Communities faced the heavy truth that a simple night out could turn deadly in seconds. Yet beyond statistics and crime reports, this story is about 4 lives: Taylor, Aviance, Leon, and Devonte. Each had dreams still unfolding. Each had people who loved them deeply, and each deserved a tomorrow they never got to see. Their loss is a reminder that behind every headline is a family's heartbreak. The pain left behind will last far longer than the night itself, and for those who stood there, who saw what happened, the memory won't fade. The search for answers continues. But for now, what remains are memories, photos, and the echo of laughter that was stolen too soon. When the echo of gunfire faded, silence took over the block outside Artis Lounge. Only the cries of frightened people and desperate voices calling for help cut through the night. Within moments, red and blue lights swept across the street as squad cars and ambulances arrived. Officers stepped out quickly, working to secure the crime scene and keep panic from spreading. Bright yellow tape went up, stretching around the area to stop anyone else from stepping closer. Some bystanders froze, too shocked to move or speak. Others clung to friends, their faces pale with fear. Paramedics rushed toward those lying injured, checking pulses and lifting them onto stretchers. Ambulances pulled away, lights flashing, headed for nearby hospitals. Doctors and nurses on duty prepared to receive victims, bracing for the worst. Meanwhile, phones buzzed with calls and texts to loved ones. Families who hadn't been there themselves learned in seconds that something had gone wrong. Parents and siblings dropped everything and ran toward the hospital entrances, hope battling fear in every step. Police officers fanned out to collect what evidence they could. Shell casings littered the street where guests had once stood. Officers carefully picked them up, placing each into evidence bags. They photographed the scene from every angle, capturing lost shoes, dropped cell phones, and bloodstains now marking the pavement. Witnesses who found words shared what they saw: flashes from a gun, screams, and the car speeding off into the night. News crews soon joined them. Reporters set up cameras, narrating events for viewers across Chicago and beyond. Phones vibrated with news alerts, and social media feeds flooded with raw videos taken during those terrifying moments. In minutes, word of the shooting reached people who had never even heard of Artis Lounge. Detectives from the Chicago Police Department took charge of the investigation. Their first focus: who had done this and why? Surveillance footage from nearby cameras was pulled immediately. They mapped the car's path as it drove past the crowd and vanished into side streets. Though the car's license plate wasn't visible, even grainy video offered small clues. By morning, the block looked nothing like it had hours earlier. Where music and celebration had filled the night, the scene was now quiet except for the hum of generators powering floodlights. Evidence markers dotted the pavement, and cleanup crews moved carefully around them. The joy and laughter of the album release party had been replaced by a chilling emptiness. Police confirmed early details. It had been a drive-by shooting. A dark sedan, moving slowly at first, rolled down its windows. In seconds, multiple shots were fired toward the crowd before the car sped away. Witnesses caught glimpses of flashes but couldn't identify faces inside. Investigators suspected more than one person, a driver, and at least one shooter, likely seated in the passenger seat. The entire burst of violence lasted no more than a few seconds, barely enough time for victims to react or run. Dozens of shell casings recovered pointed to a single high-powered handgun. Security cameras from side streets captured the vehicle turning quickly, but its license plate was hidden by shadows. No arrests have been announced. Detectives expanded their search by canvassing local shops, restaurants, and apartments, hoping more footage existed. They spoke with neighbors who might have noticed a suspicious vehicle that night. Each tip from the public was logged compared to other leads and checked for accuracy. Ballistic tests on the shell casings aimed to reveal if this weapon had been used in previous crimes. Forensic teams dusted the casings and other fragments, hoping to lift fingerprints or DNA. Meanwhile, an alert describing the suspect car, a late model, dark sedan with tinted windows and slight rear damage, went out to auto shops and body shops. Investigators asked them to look for any vehicle matching that description brought in after July 2nd. Police also worked alongside state and federal agencies to widen the search. Digital experts traced social media posts, reviewed cell tower data, and checked traffic cameras in the area. Each piece of data might help build a timeline and pinpoint who planned and carried out the attack. Though the investigation is active, detectives know time is critical. Beyond the police work, the emotional toll spread across Chicago. The victims were more than crime scene statistics. They were young people with dreams and families waiting for answers. What happened outside Artis Lounge wasn't just a headline. It shattered lives and left scars that will last forever. For those who lost someone, the pain isn't temporary. 4 people who had come out to support a local artist didn't make it home. They weren't looking for trouble. They were simply living their lives. Gun violence like this transforms places meant for joy into spaces of fear. A club, a sidewalk, or even a corner store can become the next scene of tragedy. The aftermath extends far beyond the victims. Friends now hesitate to go out at night. Parents question whether it's safe for their children to attend events. Schools, churches, and local businesses feel the ripple effects too. Gun violence steals trust from entire communities, making people worry about what could happen next. In the days that followed, families, neighbors, and strangers gathered for candlelight vigils. They stood together on sidewalks and in neighborhood parks, holding candles that flickered in the summer breeze. Photos of Taylor, Aviance, Leon, and Devonte were placed alongside flowers and balloons. Some wore shirts printed with their images. Others simply stood silently, tears running down their faces. In those gatherings, loved ones spoke about who these victims truly were. Taylor's bright smile and skill as a hairstylist, the way she lifted her clients' spirits. Aviance's kindness and how she kept her family close. Leon's thoughtful nature, his quiet strength, and his dreams for a better life. Devonte's energy, laughter, and the joy he brought everywhere he went. Their friends shared these memories on social media too, so people outside Chicago could understand who had been lost. Community leaders used their voices to call for peace and action. Pastors led prayers, youth mentors encouraged change, and local activists demanded solutions to prevent future violence. They reminded everyone listening that these victims were not statistics. They were people with lives that mattered. In meetings, city officials and residents debated how to make streets safer. Some asked for stronger enforcement, while others pushed for resources to help young people find purpose away from violence. Local artists and musicians spoke out too, using songs and murals to honor the victims and keep their stories alive. The tragedy outside Artis Lounge exposed a painful reality. Violence can touch anyone, anywhere. It challenges everyone to do more, to protect, to speak out, and to remember that behind every crime scene tape, real lives are forever changed. As the investigation continues, families and a city wait for justice. Police keep following leads, analyzing data, and searching for those responsible. Meanwhile, the memory of that summer night remains fresh, music fading into gunshots, smiles turning to tears, and lives cut short in seconds. The crime may still be unsolved, but the loss is felt every day. Taylor, Aviance, Leon, and Devonte should still be here, living, laughing, and chasing their dreams. Instead, their stories now stand as a powerful reminder of why we must never stop working towards safer communities, and why every name behind the headline deserves to be remembered. In the days that followed the tragedy outside Artis Lounge, many in the city found ways to express their pain and love through creativity. Local artists shared heartfelt poems and somber songs, capturing the grief that weighed on Chicago. Their voices, through art, became a way to mourn together and to speak about what words alone couldn't hold. In a city celebrated for its art and music, these acts of creation became a symbol of strength, a reminder that even when hearts are heavy, the community stands united. Though sadness filled the days after the shooting, it didn't silence the people left behind. Instead, it inspired conversations that stretched from neighborhood sidewalks to family dinner tables. Residents, leaders, and families spoke openly about safety. They asked tough questions. How could this happen? And more importantly, how could they keep it from happening again? The idea of protecting people at events like the one outside Artis Lounge quickly became a shared goal. Suggestions rose from every corner. Some called for more security at venues that draw large crowds, trained guards who know what to watch for, bag checks at entrances, and cameras that could act as silent witnesses. Others focused on the spaces outside these gatherings, believing that brighter street lighting and a visible police presence might discourage anyone planning harm. For many, the conversation turned to something deeper, helping young people choose peace over violence before they ever face that choice. Community members discussed programs for teens and children that teach respect, conflict resolution, and empathy. Schools, sports clubs, and neighborhood centers were seen as places that could guide young people onto safer paths. Neighborhood strength also became part of the discussion. Leaders pointed out that when communities have steady jobs, safe housing, and supportive networks, crime often drops. When people feel they belong, they're less likely to harm others. A few voices pushed for changes in gun laws, arguing that it shouldn't be easy for dangerous individuals to get weapons. Others believed that catching those who break the law early could prevent them from causing greater harm later. While everyone didn't agree on the best path forward, most agreed on one thing: something had to change. The violence that took Taylor, Aviance, Leon, and Devonte wasn't just random. It reflected deeper issues of fear, anger, and hopelessness. Many believed that giving people healthier ways to handle conflict, whether through counseling, community dialogue, or mentorship, could stop violence before it starts. The tragic night outside Artis Lounge proved how quickly joy can turn to sorrow when safety is overlooked. The hope now is to prevent such moments from repeating, to keep celebrations joyful and families together. All around Chicago, reminders of those lost began to appear. Photos of Taylor, Aviance, Leon, and Devonte decorate living rooms, school halls, and street corners. These weren't images of victims, but of lives lived fully. Smiles caught during birthdays, quiet afternoons with friends, and everyday moments now turned priceless. Outside Artis Lounge, the sidewalk turned into a living memorial. Candles burned softly beside stuffed animals and flowers. Posters carried kind words, and hand-drawn hearts named each of the 4 victims. People walking by often paused, some to pray, others simply to stand in silence. Their presence alone spoke. The victims would not be forgotten. Loved ones began to share their memories, hoping the world would see who these young people were. Taylor's cousin remembered how her kindness made everyone feel welcome and safe. A close friend of Aviance described her as someone whose words could lift your spirit and whose talent shone through everything she did. Leon's brother spoke quietly of his calm nature, explaining that even when he didn't say much, everyone listened when he did. Devonte's aunt recalled how his jokes brought laughter even on hard days, how his energy lit up family gatherings. These stories, shared online and at vigils, painted a picture of lives that were more than headlines. They were stories of laughter, talent, and quiet moments that only those closest to them truly saw. The violence that ended their lives could never erase the kindness they showed or the dreams they carried. Community events were organized to honor them. Fundraisers helped families with expenses and kept their memory alive. T-shirts, banners, and murals carried their images and names. Local artists turned grief into art, creating pieces that would live on in schools, churches, and neighborhoods. These creative tributes reminded everyone that while tragedy had taken these 4 too soon, it couldn't steal what they meant to those left behind. Even in workplaces, schools, and community centers, people shared how Taylor, Aviance, Leon, and Devonte had quietly shaped lives. A smile to a coworker, a word of encouragement to a classmate, or a simple act of kindness on an ordinary day. They left behind ripples of good that didn't disappear. As their names are spoken now, it's not just with sorrow, but also with pride. They were sons, daughters, friends, and neighbors who had hopes and plans. They lived, they dreamed, and they loved. The violence that took them does not define them. What does are the moments they created and the hearts they touched. Across Chicago, conversations about safety grew louder. Community meetings and small gatherings alike asked what could be done. Ideas ranged from more neighborhood programs to improve trust, to stricter policies against repeat offenders, to deeper investments in youth education and mental health. residents spoke openly about the fear that violence brings, not only for themselves, but for children growing up hearing stories like this. Through every speech, poem, mural, and meeting, the same truth echoed. These four were more than victims. They were people who had futures that mattered. Telling their stories became a promise to remember not just how they died, but who they were and what they dreamed about. In this tragedy's aftermath, Chicago showed its resilience. The pain didn't disappear, but it sparked hope that change could follow. That out of loss, a stronger community might grow, one where gatherings stay safe, where dreams aren't cut short, and where young lives aren't stolen by violence. Their names, Taylor, Aviance, Leon, and Devonte, now carry a deeper meaning. They remind everyone why it matters to keep fighting for safer nights and kinder days. Not just in words, but through real action and real care. If this story moved you as much as it did us, don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and tell others about it. And if you want more true crime stories that explore the real people and hard truths behind tragic events, subscribe to True Crimes Venue and turn on notifications. You can also check out our well-curated playlist linked in the description. Together, we can keep these stories alive, honor the victims, and keep searching for justice. Thank you for being here, and remember to stay informed, stay aware, and stay safe.